I'm Charlotte Mei, and I'm going to be teaching you how to use wax pastels. I'm an illustrator and artist. I work a lot in paint. I also make some sculptural pieces. I'm really interested in colour and I take a lot of inspiration from natural forms, landscapes, plants and flowers. I use quite sort of cheap industrial materials so that I don't feel precious about the way that I'm working. I often will make a painting and then work into it with pastels and kind of create more texture within the composition using different materials. Today I'm going to be painting a botanical illustration. So I'm going to be doing that with a selection of paints which I have pre-mixed, and also with these wax pastels just to create some textures and some extra bits of interest. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark out the main bits of the composition in the pastels. I'm referring to the flowers and some of the botanicals in a kind of abstract way. So I really love these large yellow heads of little flowers, and I like to kind of contrast larger areas in the composition with smaller, more delicate bits as well. Once I've laid down a bit of a composition, I'll start laying down the first colours. So these are a combination of acrylic paints that I've mixed and just house paint samples. You don't need anything fancy to do this. I'm just painting on cardboard. I often just have a sheet of paper or something here where I can mix colours that are kind of in between the colour set that I've chosen, so that you can have a range of different greens, for example, and just to be able to tweak the colour palette as you go along. So I'm gonna start applying the background colour, which is this dark blue. And this bit doesn't need to be really neat either, as far as I'm concerned. So now I've laid down the background, I'm going to move on and create some detail. I'm going to use these wax pastels. So I'm going to go for an orange and a brown right now. And I really like the kind of slightly scratchy and incidental look that these give, especially in contrast with the kind of flat colour. Because these are really, really opaque pastels, they're really good for layering, and even though this is a navy blue painting, I'm able to get quite a clear mark, which is really nice. Some little berries. This is such a good blue. Cool, so I'm nearly done. As you can see, I've used the pastels to kind of create these areas of detail, as well as the kind of the bits which need kind of more of a thinner line or a more kind of exact mark. You could create a whole composition by blocking out some of these colours as well. So this is my finished piece, and so I kind of made it in 3 steps. The first step is sketching out the composition using your reference. So I used my plants as reference. The second step is painting the background colours, so filling in those sketches that you've made. And the third step is to go in with the pastels and create detail and just work into some of those smaller areas and other bits of the composition. And here's another example of how you can use the wax pastels on their own to create a blocking technique. I would say don't be too precious about it. Everyone starts somewhere, and I think it's a really good idea to use materials that you don't feel too precious about and that you can kind of find around the house, cardboard, and that way you can just paint without the kind of worry of what if this isn't perfect. So if you're watching and you feel inspired to create your own piece, please feel free to tag myself and Bombay Sapphire. We would love to see what you've made, and thank you so much for joining me today.